This video is explaining my evaluation question 3, which is about feedback and how I've adapted and evolved my project in relation to my feedback. This will be done in the style of video, with interspersed with obviously clips of my product and also some feedback associated. Had the idea of emulate some sort of recording, so I kind of had the idea of getting a member of the audience, which is the person in my video, the protagonist, to look like they're recording the artist who's performing. That's usually common convention now. A lot of live gigs have the audience recording, obviously for their own personal satisfaction, so I thought it was quite a clever idea to play on. I used the idea of green screen and the theory behind the green screen to kind of achieve this.
Tweaking it ever so slightly so it can maybe look like it fits onto the phone a little bit better.
Feedback did, however, suggest it wasn't great. I understand myself that it did look bad. Obviously, in the focus group, remember the focus group did identify the fact that it did look stuck on, it looks artificial. This was later improved into my final cut, and I did, in fact, add more of that. I added it twice rather than once, because I found that it had quite a large impact. It kind of Okay, so I also had some positive feedback that said
really realistic, that the use of lighting was really good.
That said that my use of lighting was good. I've obviously seen in the first clip just then with the focus group. Just because I had positive feedback in this bit didn't mean that I didn't want to improve. So I thought, because she said that this is good, I need to progress it further to put it up to what I think it should be or could be. So I further wanted to progress this part of the whole lighting situation in my video. Because I wanted to kind of give this more constant and effective diegesis. I wanted to make it to look whole rather than little bits. So therefore I decided to heighten my colour completely and stick to a colour scheme. I decided to pick with neon pinks and blues, because obviously a lot of kind of club lighting sticks to blues and pinks. Another positive that was expressed was the use of stop motion. So I use stop motion when it's the glasses. So I've got 2 pint glasses in a shot, and it's exactly the same shot. However, each point the glass goes down. So it starts off full, goes to halfway, and then it goes empty. Kind of shows a passage of time. Obviously there's 2 people out, so there's 2 pint glasses, and they're going to beat the music. So boom, 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 like that, downwards. My feedback said that the stop motion was interesting. It was manipulating the use of the sound changes. They found that it was really, really interesting. However, when I saw the rough cut myself, I found that the pint glass bit looked a bit different to the rest of it. I felt like it just didn't. It looked obviously correct. It was in the same places. It just didn't. The shot itself, the lighting was a little bit different. It just looked a separate shot. So I went back and I addressed that in the way I could. So I thought to use an overlay would improve it. So what I did was I got exactly the same shot. I didn't change anything with the shot. It was literally identical to the rough cut, so the final cut had that in it. However, I put on a overlay. The overlay was just some colours, but it fit my colour palette. Therefore, my ending in my rough cut was different. There are mixed opinions and mixed views. Basically what it was is that it was a black screen, fade in, then it was the drums being on their own with no neon lighting, just normal lighting, and then smoke lifting up, and then after that an amp being removed, the cord being pulled out of the amp. Obviously, it was to simulate an ending of the ending of the performance. But a lot of people that watched it, a lot of feedback said it was very ambiguous. I wasn't quite sure why. It just stops. There was no kind of, it wasn't drawn in. It was kind of put on at the end. So they said they didn't really think it fit all too well. So I kind of thought about it, pondered the situation, thought how I'm going to draw it in. So what I did was I kind of staggered the ending. So I had the ending of narrative before the ending of the performance. I did this because I thought it would relate to my narrative with the protagonist being disorientated, being under the influence of alcohol, intoxicated, and possibly with a vicious friend. So I thought this is I've come to some sort of ending where he's been sick, he's talking to himself in the mirror, and he's around the toilet. That's the kind of ending that's the ending for the performance. He's ended with the toilet, and then it just carries on so that's it with the narrative where his head's around the toilet, and it carries on with the performance, kind of suggesting that the performance continues. It's about the band. The performance continues even if someone gets too drunk and goes out. It's their own fault. So it continues, and it kind of continues as somewhat like the performer and the band are telling this person, "We told you not to go. We told you not to go out." Kind of like he's teaching them a lesson. And then the performance, therefore, then ends. "We told you not to go. We told you." And then ends, fades out, because that's the end of the song. And then the performer, the lights are off. It's just dark now with the one white light. The front man, walks away from the microphone as you would in the end of a video, in the end of a performance, and then the drums are on their own and the amp's being pulled, and then that's the end of it. And it uses a lot of elements from the rough cut. A lot of people liked, but they found just ambiguous. It needed to kind of have an ending, but without a closed ending. I kind of wanted people to apply, for the narrative especially, I wanted the audience to apply like Stuart Hall's encoding decoding theory, where it was up to the audience interpretation. And a lot of some of my feedback from my a lot of people who watched my final cut said that it was clear that this guy's in this bad way, but you've still got the audience can still interpret themselves and think what's happened after. They fill in the gaps themselves, which is what I wanted and what I feel like I did achieve. The fact that the audience can continue to kind of question what's happened and what's happened to the protagonist, what will happen to them. Kind of it promotes watchability.